see why you can energize anybody. Energy security. You know, start with this. I mean, it starts where we come from on energy. I've been working on energy policy for 34 years, since some legislation in 1975 that I personally worked on that created the first appliance energy standards, the first CAFE standards, and I did so out of a very idealistic reason, which is I didn't want American foreign policy and our way of life to be blackmailed by other nations that had their own agendas. And as mayor, I can tell you I've had forums about energy and what we've done to reduce the energy consumption of commercial office buildings and residences, dramatic decreases in energy consumption. In America's fastest growing city since I've been mayor, we've had a population and job increase of 15%, and the largest consumer of energy in the region, the city of Houston, has brought our power consumption down by 6%, despite the fact we're providing far more services and facilities. We're the largest purchaser of renewable energy of any public entity in the United States of America, federal, state, or private. And for my consumers that I talk to, they're concerned about the sharp spike in utility prices and gasoline bills. And that's how they would define energy policy in the vantage of the last 8 years. And then for some of us who care about leaving this earth better than we found it, who think it's unacceptable to create risk that we will not be accountable for, that will be visited on future generations, and who also believe that science should be left to scientists. For those who have those radical views that scientists should do science rather than lobbyists for special interests, then we're also concerned about the sustainability of our communities and reducing the risk that we pose by human alteration of our climate. So energy policy begins with a perspective, and I think it's all part of a balance. And it's one of the most fundamental things that we should look to government to do, along with national security, educating our people. And for the reasons of the national commitment that it will take to get energy policy right, there is an important role of the federal, state, local government, and yes, I would say each person who comes here and drives here and flies here and consumes goods and services, also individual responsibility to make sure that we have a secure, affordable, and sustainable energy future. Now, I have a friend who is a pastor who, some of you know, well, not many of people in my state know I teach in churches and a long-time Sunday school teacher, and I've gone to a lot of churches in my state, and somebody just got through giving the best sermon that I heard in a long time, and I asked him, God, that was a great sermon. I mean, you got to give a sermon like this every week. How do you go about giving a sermon? He says, well, have a really strong beginning, have a really strong end, and then write the whole thing and cut out the middle part. I'm going to cut out the middle part. And then I'm going to go to the conclusions. And the middle part was really interesting. But there may be people here who have questions, then I'll learn more from you than listening to myself. So I will then go to what set of policies must you have? Forget about the policies. Results. What set of results must you have in order to have a sustainable energy policy which reduces our vulnerability to import disruption or blackmail on the petroleum? It's not just that. And which reduces carbon emissions in the short, medium, and long run, okay? In a way that doesn't cause a spike in the prices for our low-income consumers. And that is a real risk if you don't do the first other two objectives right. Anything that accomplishes those will have to have 3 results or elements, and these can be measured. And often there are people, including people that are fellow travelers on their overall objectives and have been for some time, who instead of taking these choices head on, come up with complicated schemes that they hope will result in these 3 results. But monitor these 3 results. Number 1, we need to reduce significantly the amount of fuel consumed per mile traveled in vehicles. There's no way you're going to cut out imports. Most of all oil imports, most of which are used as transportation fuels. And believe me, if our idea of progress is limiting human freedom we call mobility, then you're going to be part of a small sect, but not a majority of those, including me, because freedom is important. It's an important value. And if anybody doubts what freedom means, just remember what it was when you got the keys to your first car. Okay? And there's going to be people, and they may not all be in America wanting cars too. So one of our goals, yes, it's mass transit, but it is getting more efficiency per mile traveled. Buses, cars, trains, you name it. Okay? So it's shifting intermodal, it's doing all those things in a dramatic shift. Second, we need a dramatic increase in the efficiency of use of energy per square foot occupied of buildings. And this can be done. This can be done. In my town, we're building ultra energy efficient, affordable houses for middle class families with a solar panel on the roof in an ultra tight building envelope construction, $135,000 house. With some programs we set up $800 a month mortgage payments, 10 minutes from the largest employment center, between, I think outside of central business, Chicago and New York, the largest employment center. 10 minutes away from that in downtown Houston.